First, we'll take a look at these as they grew during the spring and summer. Then we'll harvest a couple. Since I read that they take a long growing season, I started some of ours indoors, but those didn't do well when I transplanted them outside. So I planted the rest of my seeds directly in the ground. Even though the ones planted in the ground did better, they were still very slow to get going. I was starting to have my doubts that we would even get a crop, but as you will see later in the video, I was wrong. Even though we're in July here, the plants really hadn't grown that much above ground, and they just barely started climbing by the middle of July. By the end of July, I was finally noticing some flowers. All parts of the jicama plant are toxic except the tuber itself, including the flowers, the leaves, the beans, basically anything above the ground you should not eat. And before eating the tuber, you should peel the very thick, fibrous skin that it has. By the 1st of August, it was finally starting to climb the cage a little bit, but even then, it wasn't all that aggressive in our garden. Even though there wasn't much going on above the ground, there was quite a bit going on below the ground, luckily for us. It was close to August before we started noticing very many of the seed pods, and no, you can't eat those either. I think it was toward the end of August sometime when I started feeling around and realized that we had some tubers growing pretty good size just under the surface. By early September, we had quite a few of the seed pods, and the vines were starting to grow a little bit taller too. Everywhere where you see a seed pod, there were flowers. This is what they looked like about the middle of September, and I knew at that point that I would be harvesting some of them very soon. On the 20th of September, I decided to go ahead and harvest one just to see what we had. And I started pushing some dirt away, and you could see that some of them were pretty good size, and all of them were just below the surface. I wanted to go ahead and dig one up and try it and see what we thought of it before I decided what to do with the rest of them. So I settled on one that was not real big, but also not real small. They don't have them on when you see these in the grocery store, but jicama tubers have a very long taproot, and I soon realized that I was going to have to put the camera down in order to get this one out of the ground. Here's a good look at the first one we harvested, and as you can see, it's about maybe softball size or a little smaller, and it's got a very long taproot. But the best is yet to come. I waited until early October to harvest the rest of them, and I wanted to harvest the one that I thought was the biggest first. Since I had never grown jicama before, I was pretty happy with the size of this one. Leave a comment if you've ever grown jicama, or if you're thinking about growing jicama. And if you're just now finding this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We'll see you next time.